Welcome to the Civic Pulse with David Bonior and Brian Brady. It is Sunday, January 18th, 2026. We are still alive in this crazy country, David. How are you doing this morning?
No, not as well as I was. It is. People are just having a hell of a hard time navigating this and the terrible tactics that the administration is using, not only domestically and in Minneapolis and other cities, but abroad. Really threatening to really eviscerate NATO.
Yes.
It's really, really serious stuff. It's getting worse, and I'm very nervous about it.
We're going to delay talking about that. We were talking about history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes, and get to those topics. But our show today, we're going to focus a little bit first on how to win back the Senate. Because I think, David, you are one of the top 5 or 10 experts in this country about how to win back purple areas for progressive policies. You did it for 30 years in Michigan. And I think that's the big challenge for us to win back the Senate. I think we're going to win the House. Sorry, I'm going to not taking it for granted, but I think the odds are 90% we're going to win the House. So today I want to talk about how do we win back the Senate and get your expertise on how to do that. And you sent me an article from the Economic Policy Institute and Portside, the progressive magazine published it. But we're going to focus first 15 minutes on how to win back the Senate. And David Bonior telling candidates how to do this. And you playing campaign manager, if that's okay.
Sure.
So
well, first of all, I think in the Senate we've got to hold the Georgia seat, and the Georgia senator who was up for re-election this year, the Democrat, he came in there with Warnick. The senator from Georgia, the other one.
Oh yeah, Ossoff. Yeah, Ossoff has to hold.
Ossoff, yeah, thank you very much. He's really been a steady person for our party and for progressives and for really good things. And it's a tough thing to do. It's like Jones in Alabama. I don't know if you remember when he was a senator over there.
He's
Doug
running
Jones.
again
He did a great job for all those years.
Yeah.
So, and Ossoff is sort of in that same category. So we got to make sure he gets reelected. And then we also, because they're going to go after him very, very hard. They think that's territory that should be theirs. And then the other thing I would say is, in addition to Georgia, Michigan has Peters left.
Got to hold Michigan.
Political world, decided not to run again, and so there's an open seat. So we've got 3 candidates basically. A member of the Congress from Michigan. We've got a person by the state senator named McMorrow from Oakland County. Yeah. And then we got Abdul El-Sayed, who I like very much. He's a doctor, medical doctor, and he's a former head of the water department in the city of Detroit.
Before you go any further, you sent me an article, this article from the Economic Policy Institute. And we're going to come back to these states, but you were really jazzed about the message of this article being kind of what we need to run on. So let me quick summarize it for folks. It's called Making Life Less Affordable, 47 Ways Trump's Policies Harm Working Families. This comes from the Economic Policy Institute, but you sent to me through Portside, the sort of labor-centered, left-centered progressive magazine. The main theme of it is in his second term, Trump has pursued an agenda that eroded workers' wages, weakened their rights, enabled employer exploitation, systematically making life less affordable for working people while serving billionaire and corporate interests. To get a little more specific, the last 45 years since 1980, we've seen a wage shortfall. Our productivity has gone up, but the wages have not kept up, a 40% drop. So it makes people resentful, as they should be.
They should be.
We also saw since COVID and the Biden administration, we saw an increase in working people's wages that we are starting to finally get a bounce. And it has turned around in 2025 when Trump took power. As we know, who benefits every dollar? We had $1 trillion go to the upper 1% and $1 trillion taken away from really the rest of us. A couple other things this article focuses on, the 5 categories of harm. There's wage harm, there's undermining job creation, there's weakening workers' rights, there's promoting exploitation of workers, and then there's just a massive destruction of the federal government and all the agencies that protect us, right?
Right.
So this, I think you sent this to me to saying, hey, yeah, there's an assault on our democracy, but we need to win. This is what we need to run on, right?
Exactly, and I think the assault on the democracy is important, but unless you can put people in positions of power, that's going to continue. So you've got to realize that they work together here. They're not just separate from each other. Mm-hmm. And the wage gap is growing again. And you saw from that slide, 40%. I mean, productivity has gone up. We're producing, but what we're producing is going to the top. It's not going to the people who are making it happen. A lot of the people that are making it happen are getting left out, which has been core of the story for decades in this country.
And with AI, we might even see even more
greater. It might even be greater, and definitely, because there's very large concerns, it should be, that people are going to get laid off because of AI, especially in certain industries. And so that's a concern. But giving people power to organize mm-hmm. in the labor market, they've really taken apart the Trump people, labor law, and the people who are supposed to enforce labor law. Yeah. And so basically, they're making it very, very difficult for workers to band together, use their unity and power as a group to change the laws to make that wage gap less and get them more money so they can afford the things that are important for them: their health care, their food, their housing, and all of those pieces, education. And that's what people are feeling, because they know that they're working, they're being productive, but they're falling further behind, trying to figure out ways to stay afloat, to survive this. And that anxiety is causing huge political problems for the Republicans. And we're starting to see breaks now in the MAGA movement as a result of that. So we have opportunities politically, which I know you want to get to in a second, to do things in the House and in the Senate. Now, I wouldn't say you're a little more optimistic than I am. About 90% will get the House back. I'm not quite sure. You've always got to be concerned about events and how they can,
undermine things. Yeah.
Undermine things. So we've got to keep working on good candidates for the House. We've got to have good communicators. We had a good election this last November. We just saw the governor from Virginia. She was sworn in. The woman from New Jersey, who was a member of Congress as well. Mikey, what's her last name? I can't remember.
Yeah, from New Jersey, right?
Mikey Sherrill. That's right.
Yeah,
Mikey Sherrill. So we had good elections at the state top levels, and then more importantly, as we have talked, down the ballot.
Yes, yeah.
Progressives and Democrats doing well. So so we have a chance here to get this back, and we're only a few seats away in the House. House is 485, 35 members, and so we're very close. In fact, we could even, you never know, somebody might get sick, or somebody might pass away, and that could even change more before we get to the election in November. So we have a good chance there. In the Senate, well, it's a tougher road. But
let's take this one by one, David. Just to, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because you've traveled to all these places, or most of them here, and done some campaigning, and ran a presidential campaign. So in Maine, there's a lot of controversy about the primary. You have Janet Mills running against Graham Plattner, right? And do you have it's the old sort of established Democrat approved by Schumer in Mills, right?
Right.
And then you have Plattner, who's the upstart with some controversy behind him. You have any thoughts on that race?
Well, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it because I don't know either of them. I've seen Plattner's ad, for instance. Um, uh, he's more unconventional than she is. But I would say to that that's not necessarily a bad thing in today's politics. So, uh, so maybe he has some authenticity that will be helpful to him. I don't want to speak just about him in a positive way and not say anything about her because I frankly don't know much about her, but she's the candidate of, I guess, the Senate campaign congressional committee, Schumer's candidate.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Janet Mills is 78, right? And I just have an inherent bias that we've held on to our politicians too long, and that's partly why we're getting our butt whooped here, and not pass the torch to the next generation. So I'm just biased towards the next generation, and too, because I think they know how to message a wider audience. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think Plattner, even though he's got some negatives, can probably bring over more independents and Trump voters to the table.
So what is her profession, Janet Mills?
Wasn't she was the governor, right? And she did a good job. And she's just a solid
78 though.
Yeah, I think she's 78. So, either way, but I think you're of the opinion that economic populism is the message to win this election. And so who can message that better, right?
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah.
Let's jump to Texas here for a second, because this is getting a lot of attention. And you have two high profile you're not as much on social media as me, David, but two people who dominate social media right now are James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett, right? One's
right. I'm aware of both of them, and I know how populist Crockett is.
Yeah.
And he is more of a centrist person from what I've been able to ascertain in terms of his comments, but well thought of, thoughtful person, and a very serious candidate.
Yeah, Tallarico sort of went viral on Joe Rogan's show. He went and kind of knocked it out of the park there. And Rogan is the second most popular podcast in the country. And Rogan said, "You should run for president." And, he looks like he's about 25. I think he's about 35, but
isn't he in the legislature there in Texas?
He is. He's in the state legislature.
Yeah.
He mixes a lot of Christian faith, sort of the old, the kind of Christian faith you and I were taught of, the poor, serving the poor is actually
Matthew 25, right? Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
We need people like that. There's a lot of our people come out of the faith community and are doing great things, and we ought to recognize that and appreciate that and work with them on what they're all about. So that doesn't bother me. I mean, religious nationalism so darn tough me, and smart. But that doesn't.
What?
I say religious nationalism bothers me, but that piece of religion does not.
Yeah. And Crockett is just so charismatic and smart and tough. I think she's
very tough and she's very smart. Yep.
Yeah. And but we live in a racist country. Can a black woman win Texas? The reality is like I'm not so sure.
I'm not so sure either.
Like she might make a better national candidate than a Texas candidate. Not that the country is that less racist, but it might be a little more feasible.
Well, there's racism in all of our ethnic community, our Caucasian community. We know of the racism there. So with slavery and the aftermath of all of that for centuries, but there's racism in other communities as well, in the Black community, the Hispanic community, against each other.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that kind of
Complex.
it's not an easy subject to kind of delineate in terms of where they're going to be in a race. So we know, for instance, that Trump, what did he get? He increased his numbers with Black African men, this African American men, this past election, as I recall, and but not so much with women, Black African American women. So
here's my theory. I think it's great we have these competitive primaries. I know some people don't like it, but I think we live in an attention economy now. And if you actually, I call it the heat theory of politics now, is if you want to be drawing the heat from the attention economy. And so having these competitive primaries puts the Democrats on center stage in these states. And as long as they don't tear each other apart too badly, the winner comes out of there with more energy than if they had just walked to a primary victory.
Yeah, and then of course your observation that as long as they don't tear each other apart is key, and that's always the problem in terms of a real competitive primary that can get nasty. So we have to have people that'll keep it within bounds, so that at the end they both join hands and work for the election of the other. It's hard to do.
Let's jump to another state here. Let's go to Alaska. I think people are getting more optimistic about the Senate race because Mary Peltola, the former Congresswoman, is decided to run for Senate. And her slogan is fish, family, and freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
Only in Alaska could you start with fish.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, if it was Michigan, she'd be running as Cars, family, and freedom. So it doesn't rhyme as well, but it's not such an alliteration with the F's. But anyway, you go where the economy is. That's my point, I guess. The economy in Alaska is the natural resources, and fisheries, of course, are a big part of that.
You're looking, I'm stealing this a little from the Pod Save America guys, but if you look at the commercials for Mary Peltola and for Jasmine Crockett, they have the happy warrior look, which I think is a winning look. When you're a woman, you got to walk on a balance beam in politics. You got to be tough, but you got to be smiling. And, it's true with men, but we have a wider balance beam to walk.
Yeah.
But I some high quality candidates, and then Sherrod Brown and tell me about we got to win Ohio. Looks like he might run against Ramaswamy.
A very, very tough state, but he has always had the right message for it, and because of its high industrial base at one point, and he's always been on the side of working people, and he doesn't shy away from it, and he's very articulate and strong about that. So his record is wonderful, and so I served with him in the House, and he was a fabulous guy to serve with. So he got beat.
He's been a little up there in years. Well, how old is Sherrod Brown?
Sherrod is probably in his late 60s or early 70s.
Okay,
I would think, yeah.
But
I'm not positive of that.
We're not going to hold it against him because we need to win this season.
I played baseball with him. He's a good ball player.
Oh,
we kid each other all the time. He's a big, obviously, Cleveland Indian fan, and I'm a Detroit Tiger fan as well as the Nationals in DC. So we have conversations about that. But he's in good shape. He's smart, and he's a good candidate for us to have run. And I think he's within a reasonable age limit that won't be a problem.
His sentence that he uses, I'm running for Senate to fix a rigged system that helps the rich get richer and makes working people pay the price.
That's Sherrod.
Yeah.
That's what the chart you just showed that I asked you to take a look at. It's basically that message as well.
Yeah.
It's a rigged system. It's a rigged system for the people at the very top.
Yes.
and not necessarily the very top, but at the top. And, if you can't organize, if they're saying to you, okay, yeah, you can work for this, that, well, and we'll pay you X, and you have no say in how much money you make, what safety precautions you have at your work site, what kind of health insurance you're going to get. All of that, if you're not allowed to participate in the economics of your own and your family's welfare, that's a rigged system.
And then, I mean, you have the kleptocracy of the Trump administration.
Right.
Even Republicans are aghast at how brazen they are. And
they're stealing money incredibly.
Pardons.
I saw something in the paper today. I'll tell you about it real quickly. It's to this point that somebody won $400,000 on this market that you can bet on speculation.
Poly markets. Yeah.
Poly markets. That's it. And the odds are it was somebody inside the administration, somebody was close.
Yeah.
That knew that the things were going to change and the bet was going to be a cinch. Now, that's only one point. They're making money off of planes they're making money out of sovereign funds. They've got Kushner running around, the president's son-in-law, all over these sovereign funds. He's making money off his
tariff
toilets and
everything's
crazy.
For sale.
Everything's for sale. And,
pardons. The Wall Street Journal said 1 to 6 million is the price range for a pardon. They're reporting it in conservative papers.
1 to 6 million is what?
Is the price for a presidential pardon?
Pardon, yes.
That was reported in the journal, not exactly a lefty rag.
So he's selling his presidency, and he did that the first term, and he's accelerated it this term as well. I think it's turning people off in terms of his MAGA base. But I think that's starting to erode as a result of that, and his putting his name on the Kennedy Center. And I have a family member who was a really good person, nice guy, I know, and but Republican was, and I think that was when he decided to put his name on the Kennedy Center. That got his attention in terms of maybe this is too far.
He's a toddler in chief. I mean, and then taking the Peace Prize. Well, let's stay focused though here. We got to go another state here. Roy Cooper in North Carolina. Did you ever encounter Roy Cooper, the governor now?
Well, he was the governor, yeah, and he was very good as a governor, and he was strong. And I'm feeling like that's a shot. I really feel like we have a good shot in that race because of him. He's excellent and popular, and was elected statewide. So yeah, I think if we have a good election in November, as we're expected to have, I think that could possibly put us in the Democratic column in North Carolina. Yeah, Tillis, I guess, is the incumbent. He's not running again.
Yeah, Tillis isn't. And then you had ICE there go and terrorize a bunch of people. It's anywhere ICE goes, people suddenly realize that it's not a great. They're Gestapo. They're not good.
Well, that's the word I've been hearing more and more recently from people saying the way they're acting. I just heard Bob Reich talk about that this morning on his podcast that he does. It's really scary. I mean, they come in. I know people. Of course, we all know people now who have been stopped on the street. I know one person here that in a community I live in that was stopped. His window was busted. He was dragged out of the car, and he was, he's got no record of anything in terms of violence or arrest. And they kicked him out of the country and sent him back down to where he was from, which was, I think, Honduras.
No, so that's a good segue. We left Iowa out, but we don't really know much about the Democratic candidates there.
Iowa's a tough state. Even in a good year, it's a tough state.
Yeah. But the farms folks are not loving.
They're not happy. Yep.
They're not happy. Zach Pauls and Josh.
With all due respect to my farmer friends, they're often not happy. They're very smart and clever. Happy hasn't gotten them those resources that they need to stay afloat. And it's a tough business. The margins aren't very good for them. If they have bad weather, they're screwed. It's a tough life.
They might get the bailout. So let's finish on the news of the week, which is the awful, depressing, tragic murder of Renee.
Yeah.
And I was, we were talking about history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes before the show. And I was only 6 years old when Kent State happened, but it feels reminiscent of Kent State a little bit but I'd love to have your comparison of then and now, and then the tumult of the late 60s and people being assassinated.
Well, there was a lot of assassinations of prominent people. I mean, the leaders in our country. You had Martin Luther King, speaking of which, we're celebrating his anniversary coming up here, and he was killed. And then you had JFK killed, murdered. Not JFK, Robert F. Kennedy, excuse me. Yeah. And so we were filled with a lot of national trauma in a very short period of time. This was 68 I'm talking about. And so I feel that same kind of tension today. It's directed at our, people who are trying to, in their own minds, and I think they're correct. I've joined them. I've been out in the streets carrying a placard and protesting like millions of others of Americans today. They feel that their country is being taken from them. And so and the tactics are really bad. I mean, in Minneapolis right now, there are 600 police officers on the Minneapolis police force. There are 3,000 ICE agents in Minneapolis today. So that's a 5-to-1 ratio in terms of. No. And so that and the people in Minneapolis and Minnesota feel that their community and their state are being taken over, and it's not a good thing. So we will see what comes out of this. She seems like a really good person. I saw some things just recently that her family put out about who she really was as a person, and there's a beautiful letter by them about it that I read recently on Instagram. So yeah, I pay attention to some of this stuff.
You got it.
But
I mean, she feels like a neighbor of mine in Evanston. I mean, this is a person. This could have happened to any of us, right? So if I saw we had ICE agents picking up my landscapers out front. I mean, doing horrible things in Evanston, right outside Chicago, and I would have pulled my car in front like that. I mean, this could have easily happened to all of us.
Right, and then they. You look at the film of it and you look at it, and she was just trying to move out of there.
Yeah.
And the guy took out his gun and he shot her.
Two from the side, right? The guy wasn't in danger when on the side. It's like, so it's just not so nonsensical. Let's talk big picture about this a little bit. You now have Trump basically building his own private militia, right? Homeland Security has become basically a pro-Trump militia, and we'll soon learn that a lot of those folks they've hired were in January 6th, et cetera, Proud Boys.
Right. Well, he's done it with the money that they just passed on the big, beautiful bill, as he called it. I mean, ICE has gotten, incredible amounts of money as a result of that legislation and other things, and so they're just building their agency to as you said, is what you said, without really training a lot of these people. They're out on the streets with big AK-47s, and we got people here in DC still, National Guard people. They're good people. You know, they're the National Guards of their states, and somehow they didn't think they'd ever be here in Washington. And the president says he's going to keep them here for another year. And I see them every day on the streets in D.C. They're right by the subway stop. We see them in the neighborhoods, you know, and they're just like, they're not doing anything. They're just kind of hanging out and chatting with each other. And
it's our tax dollars hanging out there.
The tax dollars, it's their lives. It's our crime numbers have gone way down in the city. And yet they've got this thing going on. It lends itself to that thing that you just alluded to with Kent State. I mean, this gives you a spooky aura of that things are falling apart. Is it Gestapo-like? Some of their tactics have been Gestapo-like.
They have been. And
so we have to, you know, be very conscious of how bad we're slipping here.
The most haunting phrase for me about that Trump has ever uttered or been reported to utter was in the 2020 transition. I think it just sums up Trump. That when he lost the election in December, some of the more reasonable Republicans were saying, hey, you know, why you can't keep contesting this until January 6th. And he said to them, what do I have to lose? And I think that sums up Trump. Like, everything is a self-centered equation. So there's really no we in this.
No, what do I?
It's just, what do I have to lose, right? Yeah. And in the end, it feels like this. I mean, I'm not the first one to say this, right? This Militia Insurrection Act, you've mentioned it before, try to postpone or delay or abscond with the votes in 2026. It seems like that will be difficult because states run most of the voting systems. Do you think and it seems like the courts won't rule in his favor on the Insurrection Act, but am I missing something? Is there a pathway for him to delay the election?
Well, yeah, there is a pathway, and he could, you know, he could engage in martial law in a state. Mm-hmm. And under martial law, he could cancel elections. And they really need some legislation in the Congress to change that. Require that in order for elections to be canceled, for instance, you'd have to have 3/4 or 2/3 of the Congress to pass a law to do that. Yeah, he could do that.
That's, you know, in the Constitution, though, it does state that you have to swear in a new Congress, right? And so I was reading an article that there's some pretty tough constitutional hurdles for him to get through. Yeah. But the courts can move slowly, so maybe he gets it delayed, you know, what have you.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him a bit to do that. And, you know, he may be getting tired at some point of being the president because he's got to stay awake, which he's having a hard time doing these days because he's of an age where you're not off during the day. So, but you know, it's be very conscious of this martial law piece because I think it's something that he could do and would do. And his people that are close, the Stephen Millers of the world and others who think that way.
It's important to protest, be loud, but I think we have to, hopefully our side can stay nonviolent here.
Well, hopefully, and definitely.
Because that definitely, you get one bad apple and they can cause an insurrection act, right?
Yeah, and they can instigate that. You know, that's the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Well, let's leave it there because if we go into foreign policy, we're really going to get depressed here. Let's end it on sports. The Bears are, most importantly, the Bears are playing tonight.
They're playing tonight, yeah.
10-degree weather with
against the Rams, right?
Yeah, against the Los Angeles Rams. Do you think those little California softies can handle the cold weather in Chicago?
Well, the hope is that they can, right? If you're a Bear fan. No, I think most of these guys in professional football can handle weather. I mean, that's part of the business. But what is the temperature there today?
It's 12 degrees right now. It's going to be about 15 at game
well,
time.
that's a little different. That's pretty cold.
It's pretty darn cold. They said Stafford's going to wear a scuba suit. So what's your prediction on this game?
I think close. It won't be a 49er get wipeout like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Seattle just creamed them. I didn't watch that game, but I read about it this morning. And the other one that I did watch was a great game. It won in overtime. It was
the Bills versus the Broncos.
Bills. I was rooting for the Bills. I always root for the most northern and the coldest place.
It's your border state roots.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The poor quarterback. The Broncos win it, and then the second to last play, the quarterback is out.
Broke his ankle.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I was sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
because he played pretty well. He's been playing pretty well. I love the quarterback for the Bills, though. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's tremendous. Josh Allen, good guy too.
Josh Allen.
Yeah. Well, my prediction: Caleb Williams takes us to the Super Bowl and beyond. Bears by a touchdown today.
All right, I'm for that.
You got a dream. It's been 40 years since we had a Super Bowl, so
I remember it with the refrigerator, right?
Some teams you remember that at least we do have a memorable Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, they had a great. Who was the linebacker for them? That was it Singletary. No.
Singletary, yeah.
Yeah, and then the running back, you had a great Walter Payton, of course. Yeah.
And we're still mad though at Mike Ditka because he gave Refrigerator Perry the touchdown run at the end of the game and not Walter.
Yeah,
but Ditka's is a lot like Trump, just all about himself.
Anyway, yeah, is he still living?
I don't think so. But I'm not.
I always paid attention to him because he's half Ukrainian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He wasn't on my political spectrum or part of my political. He was a pretty conservative guy.
Yeah, he's very conservative. He almost ran against Barack Obama.
Did he? Yeah.
I think Ditka's battling cancer, from what it says online. Yeah. So good luck to Ditka, but not his politics.
Yeah.
On that note, we will see each other in 2 weeks, and hopefully the news will slow down and things will be a little calmer.
What do you like in the football game?
I'm going Bears by a touchdown.
No, Monday to the college game.
Oh, the college game. Oh, yeah, I got to go in. I'm a Midwestern boy, right? I got to go Indiana. How about you?
No, I'm going to go the other way.
You're going Hurricane?
Yeah. I have a grandson that goes there.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good. They are tough. Two really good coaches. That's.
I like the coach for Indiana. He's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, Signetti is something.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brian. It was fun to do as always.
Have a wonderful Sunday.
You too and your family.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay. Peace. Yep.
Peace.